make a better blade, a sharper blade, a different steel.
We have technicians that are fixing multi-million-dollar high-tech pieces of equipment.
My responsibility here is to make sure that all of those equipment run as efficiently as possible so that we make the best blades in the world.
When I first started working here, I started in a machine that pumps down to vacuum levels that are seen in space.
Every single day I'm looking at different results and analyzing them, and then looking at ways that we can be the best.
Every time I think we come out with the next best product or the best shave we're ever going to get, somehow we seem to come up with something even better.
The past 30 years, this plant has become an economic force in central Louisiana.
I think the community is very proud that we're here. We make a lot of money for the community, we bring in a lot of revenue, and we bring in a lot of people.
Here at the site, we have many skilled laborers.
You have us, your manufacturers who get it out of the door, but then you have research and development, you have your engineering group, electrical engineers, computer engineers. So there's really kind of a lot of parts that go into getting a carton of soap.
People are first here at P&G, and I can tell you in this environment, I'm allowed to, to show my strengths and use my strengths that I bring to the product.
I think most people, when they think about people who work in a plant, they think low skills, low wage, but that's like the complete opposite of what it is here.
When I first started working at the plant, I definitely wasn't expecting the amount of technology that's involved.
I really appreciate the culture of helping each other succeed and helping each other learn how to do new tasks. I'm proud to work for a company that makes products here in the United States. I know from my experience here that we make a really high quality product.
We in America do this really well.
I believe American manufacturing in high capital, high productive businesses can always deliver a competitive advantage.
So one of the things that stood out to me the most when I started touring our manufacturing sites is how fast the automation equipment is. I remember being at one of our FemCare sites and they're like, oh, can you see the pad transferring here to here? And I was like, no. So they pull out a strobe light to slow it down enough that you can actually see it. So if you think about the importance of automation here, it is critical. It's critical that we make machines that last and run as much as they can. Obviously, you all are probably aware that there is a huge boom in growth in robotics right now. You probably read about it everywhere, you hear about it on the news. And I think that's happening for two reasons. So the first is resiliency is down, which means we're struggling to find enough labor for the jobs that we need to get done. And then innovation is increasing at such a fast pace that it's able to finally solve some of the problems that it wasn't able to solve before. So what have I seen that makes me think these are the rapidly evolving areas? We go to a lot of trade shows, so we see technology that relates to manufacturing. We see technology that doesn't relate to manufacturing, but relates to other things. And I wanted to share some of that with you. So what I'm seeing a lot of after COVID are disinfectant robots. And these could be AGVs, so they could be on a fixed path where they're driving around the same route every single day and disinfecting hospitals, disinfecting home care areas. And then it also could be fully autonomous, kind of like AMRs. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with those, but they do their own path planning where they can work around obstacles. So I wanted to share this video too, but you'll see lots of companies doing this. So that's just one company working in this space, but you'll see so many other ones coming out with similar technology here to automate disinfecting areas. Another area that I'm really, really passionate about, when I was in college, I did home care for adults with autism. And I saw the impact that technology could have on people with disabilities. So a lot of the people in the home were nonverbal and they weren't able to communicate like, I am hungry. And about the time I started working there, the iPad came out with a great app where you could click on pictures of like, I want an apple, and it would talk for you. And I just saw that that opened up their capabilities and made them more independent. So I'm really excited to see robotics is also helping in that area for people with disabilities, people who are older but want to live independently. The robot on the right is from a company called Obi. I believe they were started in Dayton, Ohio, but this will feed you. So if you're missing your arms, if you're not able to use your arms to lift a spoon, this can, you train it which section of the bowl you want it to go to, and it feeds you. You can take it to a restaurant and eat. So I was really excited to see that technology. I also love, I went to the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas this year, and Samsung shared their vision of what they think home robots are going to look like. And I thought this was really fun and exciting. So I wanted to share this video too. Sorry about the sound. So I think we could all use one of those, right?
Daniel, good morning. You have a meeting at 9:30 a.m. Have a simple breakfast beforehand. Olivia's arriving at 6 p.m. I suggest you go grocery shopping. Thank you, Von Andy. The meeting will begin soon. Sue has logged in. Here's the translation of the email. Pinch of salt when the water boils. This wine goes well with your pasta.
So I think the neatest part about Samsung's booth and display was that they actually had the prototype robots out. They weren't doing anything, but it was just exciting seeing that they built them at least. So obviously technology is just a really neat area. Looking forward to the future. So next up is one of my favorites that I would buy tomorrow if it was affordable and available. But you've probably all heard that there's a problem with shortage of labor for restaurants. And that affects two different things. It could be having someone to cook the food, and it could be having someone to bring the food to the table. So we're seeing a lot of robots coming out in both of those spaces. Here's a really cool one cooking. And then in a minute, I'll show one at CBG that actually brings food to you.
Imagine having a 5-star chef cooking all your meals for you every day of your life. This is the dream and the goal that MOLL Robotics is trying to accomplish. They have created the first fully automated and intelligent robots that can learn recipes, cook all kinds of foods with remarkable precision, and then clean up after themselves. MOLL Robotics built a working prototype of the MOLL Kitchen. This futuristic-looking workstation is equipped with advanced robotic arms and hands that can grip kitchen utensils, measure liquids, crack eggs, you name it, they can do it. Master Chef winner Tim Anderson was hired on as MOLL's development chef and helped the robotics team teach the robots how to cook by using motion capture gloves and wristbands, much like a video game. This means you can potentially record the movements of other famous chefs and have a meal prepared for you indirectly by, let's say, Chef Gordon Ramsay.
You're in denial.
MOLL Robotics recently launched a crowdfunding campaign looking for investors and potential testers of the prototype kitchen to help them improve the robot's ability. MOLL believes that they can do for cooking what smartphone devices have done for communications and what vacuum cleaners have done for cleaning, according to the product video. You can read more about the MOLL Robotics Kitchen at cnet.com.
Okay, and finally, to bring it back to manufacturing a little bit, one of the biggest areas that we see today at P&G where there's a need for automation is material movement. So we have a lot of material that's being moved by a fork truck. And if you've ever been in like a warehouse, having lots and lots of fork trucks can be very dangerous, inefficient. So tons of companies are coming out with AMRs, which is kind of the new version of AGV, which is automated guided vehicle. So they had fork trucks that went on fixed paths autonomously. And the next gen of that are these autonomous mobile robots that are able to navigate on their own and plan their paths. I wanted to show some like cool examples. I like the autonomy one because that is at CBG. So if you're walking around, you might see this drive by. And then another example here, I'm sure you all have ordered your groceries for pickup, or you've been in Kroger and you've seen someone pushing a huge cart and grabbing everyone's groceries at the same time. They also have these AMRs that are coming out that go to an area and then they can go to another area. So you could have one person in one aisle. This comes to you and says, I want you to load this item in. And then you load it and tell it to move on to the next item. So instead of having a person having to walk around, do all of everyone's groceries at the same time, this could move from aisle to aisle to get your groceries. They also use this a lot with like e-commerce picking as well. And to share a few more exciting things that we've seen in the manufacturing space for technology, we see a lot of companies working on the grip everything. So what's on the end of your robot matters so much. At a company like P&G, we're constantly coming out with new products, new packages. So being able to not need to change your tools every time, skip the changeover time that you need for that, and being able to grip everything with one gripper is an area we're really excited about. We see a lot with machine vision. AI is another rapidly expanding area, and also with like kitting. So you all might have seen like holiday kits, being able to create those and come out with new ones every year. Okay, great. So I wanted to open it up for any questions or ideas or cool technology you've seen.
So in our earlier presentation in this room, it was stated that manufacturing is probably 20 years behind of, I'll say, the regular industry. So do you see P&G being 20 years behind in manufacturing and getting automation and stuff, or are you guys more relevant than other major manufacturing companies?
I think each location is different, so it's harder for older plants where they built in early automation, more industrial automation than robotics. Sometimes it's hard for them to integrate the newer technology into those older systems. But when you look at some of our newer plants, it is incredible how automated they are. Yeah, so varies from plant to plant and business unit to business unit.
Okay.
You mentioned on the chef, like if it being affordable, something you'd like industry wise. It seems like a lot of it is becoming more accessible, but what do you see, the future of that as far as companies being able to afford some of this new technology, having payback periods that are worth it rather than just being, cool and innovative?
Yeah, I think we've really struggled with that too, but as technology, it seems like everyone wants to work in the robotic space. So we're seeing that prices are coming down because there's so many companies that are coming out with similar things. So that's one thing. And then we've also seen that resiliency is something that they consider when they look at automating. So it's not just the hard financial numbers anymore, but can we find the people to keep this running, or do we really need to automate this? So
how long does it take to train people in your plants to adopt all this? And is there a resistance to do this?
that is such a great question. We don't always have the robotics expert at the plant level. So sometimes the expert is at the business unit level and they're helping to coordinate. We work with a lot of great suppliers and integrators to help provide solutions, and then they can help maintain systems if they break down or if we have any issues. And then we are seeing, I feel like robotics for a while was kind of push, and we are starting to see pull. So the plants are wanting that because they can't find enough labor right now. So I feel like we're starting to see excitement from them that they want to bring this in. I think that wasn't always the case.
Hi, Laura. What are you seeing in terms of wearable robotics, exoskeletons, and things like that?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that at different trade shows. I went to Automation Fair in Houston, and I actually got to try on an exoskeleton there. For us personally, I don't think we've invested in that heavily, but they have tested it to understand what the capabilities are. I think we were struggling with affordability of systems, but like I said, technology is evolving so rapidly and more companies are coming out with it, that I do think it'll hit a point where it becomes affordable.
I've got a follow-up question
Yes.
to your other one. The area of manufacturing that's 20 years behind is in the cybersecurity area because you invest so much in integrating your computer systems with your manufacturing sensors and controls and stuff like that, that it's very expensive to say upgrade. You upgrade from
Yeah.
Windows, whatever, to up to, and 90% of your stuff breaks because it's not compatible with the new version of Windows.
Yes.
So how do you see cybersecurity affect, how do you protect your robots from cybersecurity attacks and malicious actors?
We're struggling right now because a lot of the new robotic systems that are coming out are cloud-based. And that's harder for us to control if it's not on our cloud, if it's on someone else's cloud. So I think that's an area we're still working to solve today. But we have a great team that works on IT security. Anytime we're coming out with a new software, they're evaluating it. It goes through a risk process with a team of people that's making sure that it is secure.
Okay, we still have about 5 minutes. We can take more questions here. While others still thinking, I want to take the chance to ask about some questions related to students. I think we have more than half here are students. I saw a lot of familiar faces. Some of them really fascinated about robotics and automation.
Okay.
So now you have graduated for about 10 years probably. If you see the back, and then with your current industry experience, what are some suggestions you have for those students who really want to pursue this future direction?
Yeah, great question. I can share a little bit of my background because I didn't start in robotics. I started with a mechanical engineering degree and I graduated and I was working in design engineering for a pneumatics company. So I was doing a lot of like CAD at the time, a little hands-on work, and then someone left the company and they were working on a robotic cell and they let me work on it when he left and I fell in love with it. And someone asked a question earlier today about does this involve creativity? Does this field involve creativity? And I feel like robotics is one of the areas that does. I feel like you're designing creative solutions. You can solve the problems 100 different ways. And it's fascinating to me to go to our plants and see how other people solve these automation problems. So that's how I got into it. But I see students with mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, we see robotics, we see data scientists all kind of coming into this field, computer scientists. So I feel like your degree doesn't matter as much as your passion for the area. I feel like anyone who's interested and passionate in robotics can learn it. I think it involves a lot of fun things. So you use a lot of programming. There's a design aspect where you're designing systems. There's a controls integration, wiring. So if you think on the full scale, you learn so many different areas in this field. So I would say if you're creative, if you're passionate about robotics, this is your area. We are hiring right now. So if anyone is interested, connect with me later. And we love people who are interested in this area.
Laura, you talked about material handling, material movement.
Yeah.
What about, are you using fixed arm or collaborative robots for packaging, palletizing, inspection?
Yeah, so we use collaborative robots, but our standard is industrial robots just because our cycle speeds are so fast. In some of our slower applications where it's okay, like palletizing, we can use collaborative robots, but I really see that the percentage is much heavier industrial. And then another trend we're seeing is your standard industrial robots have been in cells or gated off. We're starting to see people wanting to move away from that and use safety laser scanners and other area monitoring, so you don't have these big cages and cells. So,
thank you.
Great. Anything else?
Anything else?
Very good.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura. Let's do another